Mr. Luke Thomas, welcome to the Avenue Estate Agents. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you. Very good. It's
Excellent, excellent.
been some full on first few weeks.
Well, to be fair, you've kind of skipped ahead because my first question was obviously the primary purpose for recording this video, this interview, is for you to share your first few weeks partnered with the Avenue, give people the sort of, I guess, the highs, the lows, the experience so far, what's gone really, really well, and a bit of your background. So, how long has it been since we went live alongside you, Luke?
I think it's been about 5 weeks now.
Okay, so
Yeah, I'm
5 weeks
I'm on
in.
my fifth week. Yeah,
And is that 5 weeks including, because obviously we do the week foundations, the week onboarding. So is that including that week?
it is. Yeah.
Cool. So 4 weeks customer facing then. And doing it chronologically then, taking it, stripping it right back. We obviously knew of each other pre the Avenue because of our former careers in a different business. What took you on the journey to partnering with the Avenue?
It was just yeah. I mean, I've been in communication with Jack previously, and I've seen the journey that the Avenue has been on right from day dot. So yeah, I felt that I was always the right fit for it. It was just more so that it was waiting for the right opportunity to begin that process and yeah, just get integrated with the team.
Fair enough. Cool. So you've obviously been watching from the outside in for the last 4 years or so, and then decided, right, now's the time.
Yeah, definitely. I thought like it was just more so getting to getting to grips with estate agency and the valuing side of things more so than anything. But I could see faults in like the previous way of working, and I just wanted to be really hands on and be able to offer the absolute best service that I can.
Cool. So yeah, so you spent that period of time getting loads of experience on the value inside, and then was like, right, now I've got enough experience. Now's the time to take the plunge. And obviously, there are a lot of self-employed models out there. And from your perspective, given your former life at Purple Bricks, you have a lot of connections that are connected to a lot of other self-employed models. So what specifically from your perspective, because this is really helpful for anyone listening in when they're trying to make their own decisions, it's a little bit like a vendor when they're putting the house on the market, isn't it? Unless you give context,
Mm.
unless you show and demonstrate value, the client will generally make their decision on the lowest fee and the highest valuation, right? So in the same sort of context, what made you choose the Avenue over any other option that's available?
Yeah, so I mean, like you say, there are other brokerages out there that offer maybe a higher split, or they cap at certain criteria and things like that. But for me, it wasn't a sense of going for like the where I'm going to get the most money. It was a lot to do with the level of support that comes with it, and more so just about yeah being a business owner and being a part of something that's much larger. I think that a lot of models, they do offer like support through having people within that model, but the Avenue has partners nearby. And yeah, I'd seen like the workshops and everything that you guys did, so I just wanted to be a part of a team, but whilst also being able to be in control of everything myself.
Okay, so that kind of almost that perfect storm of part of a network, but at the same time, independent business owner doing it your way.
Yeah,
Like that.
absolutely. Hit the nail on the head.
I suppose it connects in many ways to one of our core values, and that is together we're stronger. You know, we're all independent business owners, but the point of the way in which we've built the brokerage is that we lean on one another, we work alongside each other, we support each other, we champion each other. There's no infighting, which you hear a lot of. So obviously then fast forward, we had a conversation, you, me and Jack met up over at the Belfry. We had a really good conflab, and we're like, do you know what? Luke's just a really good guy. And he's going to be a great fit for the culture, because that's one of my biggest parts. As you now know, one of my biggest things with the business is protecting the culture, protecting the brand, protecting the standard. And I was just very at ease with the fact that you're a really, really good fit in that regard. So then coming forward, we then agreed terms. You then were on notice at your previous company. We then went into the onboarding foundations week, as we call it. Now, you've got a few years behind you in the industry, good 5 or 6 years.
8.
8. Sorry, I undersold you. Apologies. So good 8 years industry experience. What were your expectations going into that week, first and foremost? And then talk us through the week and then what you gained from the week.
I didn't really know what to expect, but I went into it with an open mind that actually I may need to reset on a couple of things, because you can learn bad habits within doing stuff for such a long time. So yeah, I went into it with an open mind, and about 50% of it was what I was expecting, just in terms of like how we need to portray the brand and everything that comes with being a part of the avenue and the high standards. And then there was also a lot to learn in terms of probably more so what I've been doing wrong, and just building that relationship up right from the, like, even before you've actually spoken to somebody, essentially.
Okay, cool. So throughout the course of that week, then there was half of it, which is a reasonable chunk, but then there's still half that was outside of what you expected. So just to give a bit of an insight, and I appreciate it was 5 weeks ago now, but I know that a lot of people that have gone through the onboarding process, some of it leaves quite a lasting imprint. What would be your top 2 or 3 takeaways? So anyone that's listening in thinking, I'm looking at going on this journey, I'm exploring the avenue estate agents, what would be the 2 or 3 things that you took from that where you would say, do you know what, anyone else that's considering going on this particular journey, whether it's with the avenue or not, these things, they need to know this stuff?
Number one, that I didn't know anything in terms of lead generation.
Wow,
So just
8 years in the industry and you had no idea about lead gen?
yeah, so I feel like working in particularly a high street, a lot of the time as a valuer, things are just handed to you on a plate. So you can go out like the old fashioned methods and just go out door knocking and dropping letters and things like that. But primarily you are going out to 3 or 4 valuations a day, and you're primarily just there to win the business, and that's your sole job. Whereas now it's about actually going after properties that you particularly want to bring onto the market, rather than taking what you can get.
So becoming more of an attraction agent.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Anything else that would be because that's a great insight for anyone listening in. This is someone with 8 years experience, very humbly and openly and honestly saying that their understanding of lead generation was nowhere near at the market needed to be to thrive in this environment. So the model doesn't matter, but having that level of humility to kind of go, okay, I can list, but that doesn't make you a good self-employed agent, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, so the second one is, what would my second one be? Just how much time and effort it actually takes to put into building your own brand. So every little detail matters, and it's all about just building up that trust.
Absolutely. Great. So from the week that we did, the work we did on that initial building your brand content, for example, your local spotlight video is wicked. So all of that sort of stuff where we talk about the devil is in the detail in all the creative work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the finest details matter, and having a marketing team as well that can create such things like the local spotlight is just 10 out of 10. I couldn't recommend it enough.
I don't know many places, and I could be completely wrong, so this isn't me pitching anything at all, but I don't know many brokerages where there's that level of upfront marketing time, effort, spend dedicated to self-employed agents. I could be wrong, but I'm not aware of it. So you then went live. How far are we going to pull the curtain back here? What were your biggest fears about self-employment? Because you had walked this path before, so you have been self-employed in the agency space before. So did you have any nervous energy, fear that you were bringing with you from that last experience? And how is that looking 5 weeks into the journey? How are you feeling about all that now?
Yeah, so my number one fear was being lonely.
Okay.
So it can be a very lonely job, and particularly if you get into your own head too much, then you often find excuses and never actually hold yourself accountable. So having somebody to hold me accountable to what I say I'm going to do, and then actually putting the wheels into motion, was a really big factor in becoming like a partner at the Avenue.
Okay, cool. So having that sort of support from us, because you said it quite openly, and that's something else I really rate and respect about you, is you were very open during that onboarding period where you're like, I know I can do it, but sometimes I can have a tendency to overthink stuff. So I would really appreciate you keeping me accountable to the fact that I know I can do the thing, but keeping me clear of that dangerous space where overthinking takes over. And when you're on your own for 60, 70, 80% of your working week, that can take over like weeds in a garden, right? A garden that's not well tended becomes full of weeds.
Yeah, you can often find yourself just putting off those little tasks and getting distracted. Like when you're working from home, it's extremely difficult to just get your head down into something. As soon as one little thing crops up, you're then distracted and you're not coming back to your work for the next hour. So having that structure in place and just that mindset change, just to say, well, actually, I need to get this done, because if I don't, then I need to be talking to James next week and saying, James, I haven't done what I promised you that I was going to do.
It helps. And I think for context, for anyone listening in, I'm not like hanging over you with like a baton or whatever, ready to whack you over the head for not doing things.
No, no, not at all. So there's no like micromanagement or anything like that. This was actually something that I'd asked for. So yeah, it was a pure suggestion that I'd put across.
And so you'd kind of requested that as a support mechanism almost.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know what I'm like. If I've got something to aim for, then I will go for it. And yeah, if I don't actually live up to that, then I can hand on heart say that I've tried. So if it's failed, then so be it. That's part of the learning curve that comes with it.
Absolutely. And so from your point of view then, we've done the onboarding week. You're 4 weeks into the journey now. Yesterday you had another listing, because how many listings have we got so far?
Two now.
2 listings so far, and a good few opportunities that are starting to brew and look like they're coming your way. So a good start by all intents and purposes. Is there anything that you've kind of taken away from either the onboarding week or the support we've offered between then and now, or the workshop, the group get together that we held on Friday of last week? Is there anything that you've kind of gone, that's really surprised me, but I didn't know I needed it because I don't know what I don't know, but that's really valuable?
I think you know what's coming.
No, I don't.
So
As it happens, I don't.
um yeah, I mean, like, the workshop was absolutely brilliant, but the just what goes into constantly adapting to the changes with things like Meta, Facebook, Instagram, and just staying on top of that to be 2 steps ahead, because everything is adapting. And the moment that you fall into, well, this is the way that we've always done it, is when you start to lose.
It's a dangerous one, that, isn't it? I got involved in let's call it a conversation on a Facebook group, probably over the weekend. And it was a Chris Watkins interview, and the typical, clickbait Watkins. And the title
Yeah.
was, you don't need a personal brand to succeed in a estate agency, or something like that. And the person he was interviewing hadn't actually said that, but there was there was an underlying challenge around whether personal brand is really very valuable or not. And so in the comments, someone had basically a person who isn't too far from where I am in Derbyshire. They own a multi-branch network who've been around probably 35 odd years. And the owner of the business made the comment to suggest that personal brand's a load of rubbish and it's unnecessary. And if the brand is very, very strong, then that will dominate and all this sort of stuff. And I've got to ask you the question, like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, with the Avenue, you get the best of both worlds.
Well, yeah, that wasn't loaded, by the way, but
No,
I mean,
I mean, to put it simply, I mean, there are other brands out there where you get your personal brand and it runs under a umbrella company. I don't like that term, but that's the easiest way to explain it. And
yeah,
I think that there's always so many different variations in terms of the way that the agents are actually operating, that there's not a sense of brand there. Like, you are your own personal brand, whereas here well, yes, it's Luke Thomas, but Luke Thomas with the Avenue. And it's amazing that regardless of if somebody is selling in Tamworth, if they were then looking in Sutton, they know exactly what they're going to be getting if they're looking at an Avenue property.
yeah, they know what the standard is. They know where the bar is at.
Yeah.
Luke, you've been really open with some of your feedback, and I really, really respect and appreciate that. And I think it's testament to the type of character you are. We've only been working together 5 weeks, and I already know that we're just going to have a great working relationship. And I just know that with our support, which is why one of the reasons you partner with us, with our support, we can move some of the challenges that could be there. We'll move them out of your way, and you're going to have a fantastic career as a self-employed agent. I have no doubt about that. What would be, if someone is considering it right now, what would be the number one piece of advice you would offer them if they were considering, let's not talk about them partnering with the Avenue, let's talk about self-employed estate agency? What's the number one thing they really need to consider?
Having the finances behind it all, because the last time around that I did it, I really wasn't prepared for everything that came with it. So I'd just undergone a property renovation. I didn't really have a penny to my name, and it was a big gamble that I took on. But there is a lot of finance. There's a lot of finances that you don't see when you're in a high street agent, for instance, or under an online brokerage sort of thing. So you do have to have some funding behind you in order to just get your kick started, because you're not getting any income for up to like 6 to 8 months, however long it could be.
Yeah.
So yeah, you need a nice cushion to fall back on and also invest. So don't just see it as if you can pay yourself a wage for month on month. You also need to be spending money.
Yeah, need to be able to invest into your business, because that's what it is at the end of the day. It's a business, right? You can't generally launch a business without having some form of investment needed.
Absolutely.
Why take the risk then? If you've got to wait 6 to 8 months for the money, why do it?
It's worth it to be able to. I mean, one of the big things for me was having skin in the game. So I wanted to have my face on a board. I wanted to be the go-to for somebody, like from a recommendation. I didn't want a recommendation because of the brand that I work for. I wanted the recommendation because of the service that I'd offered. So you reap the rewards. I think a lot of people in the self-employed model, they hone in on the financial benefits of it all, but it is more so freedom and just a sense of pride that comes with it.
It's an interesting response, because I was going to say, so many people talk about short-term pain, i.e. wait 6 to 8 months for medium to long-term gain, and being able to earn exponentially more for doing a fraction of the workload. So it's interesting that you pivoted towards what I actually value more. It's freedom and pride in what you do.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, very indicative of you as a character, that it's not about materialist outcomes. It's not about materialism. It's about pride and people really wanting and needing what Luke Thomas can give them, and at the standard that Luke Thomas wants to give it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. Luke, thank you so much for taking the time. And as I said earlier in this interview, for me, it's been great having you join us. It adds an extra dynamic. When we did the workshop on Friday, your contribution to the room, and like I said, your willingness to be so raw and open in a group. You know, there's 25 odd people in the room, and you were very open with things that you fear could potentially get in your way. But that's indicative of, for me, of someone with a real growth mindset that is willing to kind of go, do you know what? I know I'm not perfect, but I'm going to do everything I possibly can to get where I want to go. And I really rate that. So, Luke, it's a pleasure working alongside you, and I look forward to seeing huge success.
Thank you very much. And yeah, just on that last point, I think showing vulnerability is strength. So yeah, to anyone thinking about it, then, you know, even if it was a case of reaching out to somebody that's really new into it, what I don't like is for someone in my position to be out saying, yes, join this company. But I could very much say what my experience has been so far. But yeah, do your research in terms of things like that, because a lot of people are just looking to recruit people for the sake of lining their own pocket.
I respect that. Two things in that. One is vulnerability is strength. Love that. And the second thing is absolutely do your homework. I say it quite a lot when we meet with people that are talking to us about potentially joining the Avenue. Go on our partner page on our website. There are now 21 different names on that list, soon to be 23. Reach out to any one of them and ask what their experience is. I can't imagine there's many brokerages in the entire world, let alone country, that can say, speak to any of our partners to get the inside scoop on what it's like.
Yeah.
So we're very
And
pleased.
I feel like you would get the raw response from a lot of people as well. Like, you could catch me on a bad day, and I would tell you that I'm having a bad day. You know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are days, like a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned to you that I was struggling to just get my head down, and technology was against me. I couldn't get anything to work, and I just had to take the time out to clear my head and then go again the next day.
Absolutely. But that's the thing, right? It's having the right people in your corner, so that if you are having a bit of a tough time, and whether it be me, Jack, Holly, Ben, Michelle, any one of the kind of inside of the business, or whether it be one of the other partners that you reach out to, like, you've got that around you, you've got that network and that support, and that's really, really important. So, Luke, I really appreciate it. I will leave you to enjoy your afternoon, and I will speak to you very soon, mate.
Yeah, speak to you soon.